All right. Good afternoon, Pitch Talk. We are on our series two of the best soccer transfers of the summer of 2023. We started off the series with our free transfer, Branko van de Boomen. I love that name. When he scores goals, man, that is going to be exciting, and he is going to score goals. But in this series, I really wanted to focus on players around the 10 to 30 million. And I've got one in the Premier League that people are going to recognize who is Premier League proven, and that is the Argentinian maestro. That is right, Alexis McAllister, going to Liverpool for a deal reported to be at 30 million pounds, if I'm not mistaken. That is incredible piece of business when you think this is a young footballer who has won the World Cup at such a young age, but has also been an integral piece to this Brighton team, who Brighton, if you have not kept up with, Brighton is starting to become a hell of a team, finishing in the top 10 in the last 3 seasons in a row. Very impressive for that soccer team to be doing that kind of playing that kind of football, and it's a testament to the ownership, the structure of the club, as well as the players and the managers. So, but let's talk a little bit about Alexis McAllister. Alexis McAllister and what he's going to bring to Liverpool. Again, 24-year-old center midfielder. Played a lot of attacking midfielder, actually formed as an attacking midfielder. If you look at his stats, he has a ton of goal contributions as well as assist making potential. So last year he finished in the Premier League with 10 goals, 2 assists, speaking to that potential. And he is an incredibly versatile player. Played slightly different roles. If you look at him on the Argentinian squad, played very much in that flat three midfield that they employ, right? 4-3-3, similar to what Liverpool are going to be playing. Versus when he was at Brighton, he did play a lot of that 10 position, right? That in the hole behind the striker, which is a very creative position. So I think you're going to find a lot of tactical flexibility. And that brings me to, why is he going to be a success for Liverpool? Well, reason number one is exactly that tactical flexibility. Liverpool are a team that press, they're a team that are on the offensive foot, but they require hardworking individuals. And McAllister fits exactly that model. His tactical versatility is going to be seen at Liverpool. He will often be deployed in that 4-3-3 as a general midfielder, most likely, I would imagine, on that right hand side. But he certainly can play on the left hand side as well. In fact, operated a lot coming from that left hand side, utilizing his right foot for a lot of his shot and goal creations this season. If you look at his highlights, he loves coming off that left tremendously. So the tactical versatility is there. If Liverpool are in need of a goal and they're maybe, let's say it's a 2-2 game. We've seen games like that against Crystal Palace where there were 2-2s. Teams, Wolves, where they can't necessarily break the team down, they can push McAllister further up the field to help put in those through balls or maybe some diagonal crosses to those very dangerous forwards in Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, etc., and Darwin Núñez. So the tactical flexibility, I think, is going to be seen with McAllister. The second thing is, in the Premier League experience matters. We see players who come to the Premier League have a very challenging time with their first year, and then the second year they explode. Liverpool are going to be looking for that with Darwin Núñez. They're going to hoping for that with Cody Gakpo, right? We look at Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah had experience, kind of came in and hit the ground running a little bit easier. First season, a little bit more delicate, but we see now the Premier League is something that he knows, right? And that experience is incredibly important. Alexis McAllister has that experience playing at Brighton and has the experience playing at not necessarily a large club, but a club competing, right? We're talking about Brighton, who were in the semifinals this year of the FA Cup. This is not a team that teams take lightly in the Premier League. This is a team that is on the rise, and they have excellent players that are coming up. One example is Matoma, is a great young Great young forward up in Brighton. So the Premier League flexibility and the tactical flexibility and the Premier League experience are going to be invaluable for Liverpool. The third thing is one of my favorite things about him is he's a tempo setter. Now, what is a tempo setter? A tempo setter is someone who can dictate the flow and the speed of the games. Now, this is generally attributed to some of the greatest players of our generation and previously. We're talking about the likes of Zidane. We're talking about the likes of Xavi. We're talking likes about Paul Scholes, some incredible, usually attributed to midfield players, right? Because the game is won and lost in the midfield, typically speaking, not always. There's certainly exceptions to that, but he has that. If you watch the speed of his game, when he is in the final third, he plays much faster than when he does further back. And he has the ability to dictate the tempo. And Liverpool are going to love this because that is exactly what they do to teams. They overload you and try to hit you extremely hard with Mohamed Salah, Darwin Nunez, etc. They attack with numbers. They want to put pressure on you up in their final third, meaning they win the ball closer to their goal. They overload on the wings with Trent with the overlaps and Robertson, two fantastic wing backs. And so I think this tempo setting is really going to help Liverpool because there are times where we've seen Liverpool are going forward and trying to attack and give the final, um, put the final, coffin, nail in the coffin, so to speak, and yet it ends up hurting them in disguise because they commit numbers and then they don't have the numbers back. And their midfielders for so long, Liverpool don't have traditional midfielders, right? You've looked at James Milner, you've looked at Jordan Henderson, you've looked at these guys. I'm blanking now on their RB Leipzig guy, but they have these Oxlade Chamberlain. There's talent and they're decent passers of the ball, but they're not true midfielders. They're really pressers, right? They're incredibly fit individuals. They're incredibly selfless and dedicated to the team. I mean, talk about selfless. Jordan Henderson comes up in that dictionary. And now they're starting to adopt some true midfielders who are going to possess and control and dictate games. I really like this move that they're doing for 30 million. That's incredible. The last thing is pressing. Klopp, right? The Gurgen press. If you followed kind of Klopp's model, the Gurgen press, he is from that line of coaching. He's evolved his pressing. He's really evolved the pressing, especially when it comes to those three midfielders in that 4-3-3. But this is not a player who does not know how to press. This is a player, McAllister, who knows how to press and who did it with Argentina. In fact, I would actually argue, if Liverpool fans are watching this video, I would argue watch his style of play and his game during the recent World Cup, because I think that's more of the player that you're going to get versus Brighton. At Brighton, he was so used interchangeably in so many different ways, and they were so reliant on him. Liverpool aren't going to come in and say, okay, this is your show. We need you to run it, right? That's not going to happen. Alexis McAllister is a phenomenal player, but he doesn't need to run this show. What he needs to be is part of this show. And that's exactly what he's going to do. The expectations there are not for him to revolutionize this midfield, kind of similar to what United did with Paul Pogba. They came in, Paul Pogba was never a midfielder that could do it all on his own. We saw that at Juventus. He was surrounded. First of all, he played in a five-man midfield, so he had lots of people around him, and he played with some of the greats, right? We talk about Pirlo, right? Pirlo being right next to you is a huge advantage, and a lot of the responsibility fell on him. United bought Paul Pogba and said, "You're the main man now. You can be the midfielder." And never assisting Pogba with that midfield was one of the biggest catastrophes that United made. Liverpool aren't going to make that same mistake. Alexis McAllister is going to come in. He's going to be a cog in that machine, and he's going to be able to contribute right away. And the expectations are going to be a part of the machine. And so I would encourage you guys to see what he did for Argentina. He understands how to press. He's a very, very extremely hard worker. Maybe some of the weaknesses are really on his physicality and some of the defensive tackles and things of that nature. But I think that's going to be overshadowed by his immediate impact on the offensive third and sliding on that right hand side. If he does, right, there's going to be Mohamed Salah who's on that right hand side cutting on the left. That's going to be a interesting partnership to watch in the upcoming season. So my next player to watch, we had Branko van de Boomen as number 1 in this 30 range. I really like Alexis McAllister going to Liverpool. Premier League rivals, United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, all of you guys, Newcastle. Beware of Alexis McAllister. I have my eyes on him, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player to watch this season. That constitutes the end of episode 2. We will have episode 3 tomorrow, and I'm going to go now into the 40 to 50 million. I've got a really interesting player there that I think you guys may have heard of. He had a remarkable season this year, and I'll give a small hint so we can start maybe guessing on who that is. I will not tell you the league, but he won the league this season in his respective conference. So tune in tomorrow. Thank you guys. Subscribe if you're new. We are brand new. We are making these. We're starting fresh. And please feedback in the comments, discussions. Let's get it started. Have a great Saturday. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.